The title of this video says it all. Relationship is so much more important than doctrine. Mike Parsons likes to say, I don't have a theology, I have a relationship. And I want you guys to remember, if we're using our own minds to try and understand God, we're never going to get there. We'll always think wrongly. 1 Corinthians 2:14 says, the natural man does not receive the things of the Spirit of God. They are foolishness to him. He cannot know them because they are spiritually discerned. And Isaiah 55 says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, my ways are not your ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. And so there's a certain foolishness it takes to think that we can truly grasp everything about God just using our natural mind. We really have to step outside theology and engage God in relationship and find out what He's like that way. And that doesn't mean that we can't study Him and can't think about Him and can't talk about Him. The Bible actually encourages us to do those things. Talk about these things on the way is one of the things that Moses wrote about the statutes. So we want to do those things, but always relationship first. Something to remember is that anything you place above God is by definition an idol. And if you place theology above God, theology will be an idol to you, and an idol will always try to alienate you from God. And so we want to be careful about not doing that. The classic example of this is Jesus being rejected as Messiah by the people and even the leaders of his time. This is one of the most religious cultures that has ever existed in world history. And through their religion, they could not recognize the Messiah, even though he came at the time prophesied by Daniel, healing the sick, raising the dead, and they don't know who he is. And he's outside their existing power structure. Yet people who had a relationship with God had no trouble recognizing him. The wise men, Simeon, Anna, they recognized Jesus from when he was a baby, long before he ever did any miracle at all, because they had a relationship with God. Jesus even said in John 7, if anyone's will is to do God's will, he will know whether this teaching is from God or whether I am speaking on my own authority. If you know God, you will recognize the works of God, and you won't be subject to the kind of temptation that catches other people when you operate outside the box. If we're following God, we are going to be outside the box. In fact, you may even say, there's a box I could have used. Where was that? So as we're journeying into new things, by definition, something new is not old, and new wineskins are needed for the new wine. And sometimes the old wine doesn't receive them. We still want to treat the old wineskins with great love and great compassion. And respect them for being our mother church. But as we go through this, we want to stay in the fresh flow of God. Another thing is the story of David. David is a powerful example of how relationship trumps doctrine. That David's sin of adultery required death under the Mosaic law, yet his relationship with God trumped that law. There were still consequences, but it did not require death. There's also some people who read Scripture and David's adventures with the Ark of the Covenant to hold that David was operating in a future age, that there were some times where he had the Ark out and using it and celebrating around it without having it veiled away in a Holy of Holies, and that he was able through a relationship with God to really get outside the box and even superseding some of the law of Moses and what he did. And it was all through relationship. So as we go out there and try to serve God, it's relationship first and always. And I hope that helps. Thank you.